Miss January's own deadly vision of her husband's murder. Miss January's premonition on hard copy. Tonight at 7.
Next on First News at 4, homes for sale. Does a new trend in the housing market mean our economy is finally moving? Also, how to save money on everything you need to baby your skin. We'll also see how a computer can take the guesswork out of choosing a pet. And Joan Hamburg has bargains on film that make it easy to smile for the camera.
And good afternoon to you. I'm Brian Williams. Carol Martin will be along a bit later on. It's good to have you with us. It's 55 beautiful degrees in Central Park at 4 o'clock today. Here's what's going on this afternoon. We begin today with Payback Day at the Gotti trial. For 2 days now, Gotti's former right-hand man told prosecutors everything he promised he would about every aspect of life in the mob. Today, John Gotti's lawyer got his chance to cross-examine Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano. There was added drama at the trial when an anonymous telephone bomb threat received today forced the temporary closing of the federal court building where police searched for a bomb. None was found. Back inside, Gotti's defense team was busy painting the Bull as a stool pigeon who would do anything, say anything for his own freedom. Earlier, Gravano had testified that Gotti was behind the murders of several mobsters, including former boss Paul Castellano. The cross-examination of the government star witness will continue tomorrow. It is one of the most infamous incidents ever captured on videotape. Today it moved right into the courtroom. It is the case of Rodney King, the black Los Angeles motorist whose beating by police last year was captured on home video. The tape, as you recall, stunned the nation and prompted charges of racism. Today, 4 white police officers accused in the case went on trial. And as opening arguments got underway, the courtroom became a screening room.
You have a man who is down, a man who is not aggressive, a man who is not resisting. Yet those blows from Officer Powell and Officer Wynn's batons continue and continue and continue.
The 12-member jury has no blacks, 1 Asian, 1 Hispanic. The rest of the jurors are white. If convicted, the officers could each get up to 8 years in prison. Well, Campaign 92 has claimed yet another candidate. Today, Bob Kerrey declared he is out of gas, out of money, and out of the race for president. The Nebraska senator stood before cheering supporters in Washington to announce he is ending his candidacy. Kerry's bid for the Democratic nomination began with promise. He made national health insurance the focus of his campaign at first, but he never caught on with the voters, except for 1 victory in the South Dakota primary. Though his candidacy is ending, Kerry promised today he'll continue fighting in the U.S. Senate.
But make no mistake, this is no retreat, in Bruce Springsteen's words. This is no retreat and this is no surrender. For me, the fight simply is going to move on to new arenas.
Kerry ends his candidacy $1 million in debt. 4 major Democratic contenders now remain with just a few days to go before Super Tuesday in the South. The first candidate to pull out of the race was Virginia Governor Doug Wilder. Houses are moving on Long Island. No, there hasn't been any kind of earthquake. We're talking here about an upward trend in housing sales. Channel 2's Long Island correspondent Mark Schumacher is live in Huntington, where he's preparing his story for Channel 2 News at 5 tonight on this bit of rare, good local economic news. Mark?
Well, Brian, there's a sign you haven't seen in a while, a sold sign. You know, the real estate market has just been terrible for the last few years. But the good news is in January, home sales here on Long Island were up 10%. In the Northeast, they were up 19%. That's especially good news when the rest of the country was incredibly flat. The rise, they're saying, is for 2 reasons. Number 1, home sales prices have been going down for quite some time, but they've leveled off. Also leveling off of those interest rates that have been diving. Now, the question is, should we sit here and start celebrating that the recession is over? Well, the economists are saying, not yet.
So until we start to see hiring go up and employment go up, I'm not going to think that the recession is really, behind us.
That's Russell Moore of Hofstra. He points out that while home sales were up, there was another number that went way up in January, and that was unemployment on Long Island. Those 2 things together are painting a picture that is somewhat uneasy, and an economy that isn't recovering just yet, but the signs are pointing up. And as far as the home sales are concerned, we should point out that as far as price ranges are concerned, people are buying right around the $200,000 mark. That's interesting. That's not considered the lowest price, but it's not the highest either. So apparently they are bargain hunting. They're looking for something in the middle ground, taking advantage of those interest rates. We'll have more on this beginning at 5 o'clock. I'm Mark Schumacher reporting live in Huntington. Brian?
All right, Mark, thank you for that report. We'll look for your further report at 5. In other news, it is named after a painter, and it is as feared as the plague. That is, if you're a computer user. The so-called Michelangelo, let's try that again, virus is due to strike tomorrow, and today, nervous computer owners were flooding into stores looking for an antivirus computer software. The virus is set to coincide with the Italian painter's birthday tomorrow. Computers with the virus will lose their information in their memory banks when the electronic sickness comes to life. Well, parts of Texas are recovering from a huge storm that dumped as much as 7 inches of rain in the Houston area alone. The floodwaters engulfed everything in their path, making mud the biggest problem on this the day after. The flood is believed to have killed 2 men when water trapped them in their truck. Emergency workers performed spectacular rescues yesterday as the cresting water stranded commuters by surrounding their vehicles. In one incident, 4 handicapped children had to be saved when their bus plowed into a flooded intersection. Time now to take a quick look at our own weather map. Again, it is a delightful 55 degrees in Central Park. If you've been outside, you know what I mean. It's a warm 57 up in Ossining, 51 in Norwalk, a cooler 49 in Lyndhurst. Princeton reporting in with 54. Enjoy it. You'll find out why I say that in our complete forecast coming up a bit later on in this broadcast. Before we take a break, a question for the more intense moms in the audience. Do your kids seem the same way? New research out today shows hard-driven so-called Type A mothers have hard-driven Type A children. Researchers studying 72 mothers and infants found the infants of Type A mothers cried more. They say it could be genetic. It could also be that pregnant Type A women don't offer a fetus a calm environment in which to develop. So calmly now, let's go to Carol Martin for a look at what else is coming up on First News at 4. Carol?
Thank you, Brian. We'll be right back with more news of this Thursday. A major hospital is added to the critical list here in New York City. Do you spend a small fortune on skin care? We'll be finding out how to give your skin a lot of TLC for very little cash. And a new high-tech way to choose the cat that could be just right for you. Joan Hamburg's in today with bargains for shutterbugs, who are also keeping an eye on their budget.
Welcome back. It's Thursday. Have you been outside? It is gorgeous, though we're not allowed out much.
About 60s or so. We have these windows.
Beautiful, beautiful day. Beautiful day. And we're closer to the weekend, which is going to be rainy, and that makes you very happy?
Makes me very happy.
Loves
more on that
weekend.
later.
Well, we have this item. One of New York City's biggest hospitals has reportedly just failed a big test and could lose its accreditation.
Some serious news out in Brooklyn. According to the New York Times, the major organization that regulates hospitals has found that Woodhull Hospital in Brooklyn does not do a good enough job reviewing its surgical procedures. Now, this is yet another blow to the Health and Hospitals Corporation, which runs 11 major city hospitals. Woodhull will not lose its accreditation immediately, though, and is being given the opportunity to appeal this decision. So that's going to be a big story coming up.
That's right. From health to health about your concerning your skin. We're going to talk about cosmetics today and all kinds of products that make up a billion-dollar industry. Dr. Nelson Lee Novick is here with us. He is the author of Super Skin, and you're here to shatter some myths, I understand.
Debunk a few, huh?
You bet.
I can't imagine. You know, before we start, Dr. Novick, you said when you came in and they put a little powder on you, even that was the wrong stuff.
Yeah, because the theater schmink that they use for, you know, for getting ready for the makeup,
schmink.
the schmink.
Oh.
The schmink.
The
I think I know what you mean.
is pretty thick and can clog up pores, and if you wear it for a long time without taking it off properly, you can run into problems with pimples and clogged pores and so forth.
We all
but you know
suffer
something? One of the questions that people ask me most, I serve as an editorial advisor and a consultant for a number of different, you know, organizations, consumer-oriented organizations like the Westwood Squibb Skincare Information Center, and probably the most frequent question that's asked about any kind of cosmetics are the area of moisturizers. You have moisturizers out there that contain all kinds of what I call in super skin exotic ingredients of dubious value. These include, perhaps the surprise to our viewers, collagen, pro-collagen, elastin, vitamin E, yes, vitamin A, tocopherol, eggs, milk, honey, royal bee jelly, liposomes, hyaluronic acid, DNA, and I could probably go on ad nauseum. And then they tell you that these products are anti-aging, anti-wrinkling, cellular activating.
That's my question. Is that possible? Is anything on the market that can take away wrinkles?
Not in the form of the moisturizer that you can buy at the so-called finest department stores. Yeah, no, they're not. But what you really should do, there's some basic advice. Look, you want to cut away the hype and you want to go to get something that moisturizes the skin, because we do need moisturizers different times of the year, but can do it in a gentle way that doesn't cause any allergens, you know, it doesn't contain any allergens, something like fragrances we should avoid, and lanolin derivatives, and propylene glycol and paraben.